All right, hands up right now. Do you think delaying a game that is a first-party exclusive game like Avowed is a good move on Xbox or a bad move on Xbox? Let us know down in the comments below right now, because I've seen mixed reactions to this. Some people saying that, yes, this is a good move. Let the game breathe a little bit when it releases in early 2025. Others are like, we've seen all these amazing trailers and everything from the E3 days, but we haven't had any releases. Shouldn't Avowed have released by now? It feels like it's been given ample opportunity. So what the heck is going on here? What's going on, guys? Town with Direct Gaming, and we've got to talk about this because Avowed is supposed to be one of Xbox's biggest games when it comes to their first party lineup and really being able to push something like Xbox Game Pass. And now that game has been delayed. So I guess Call of Duty gets priority over Avowed, even though they've had Avowed in development longer than the Call of Duty game. I don't know how I feel about this. On one hand, it makes sense. The holidays are always overcrowded when it comes to video games. Always. Every single year, doesn't matter what. But Avowed, you've been trying to market for, I don't know, the last 3 years, I want to say, or something like that, since we've been seeing teaser trailers and gameplay trailers and all this kind of stuff, and now you're delaying it. Like, why wouldn't you delay something else? And I know the original schedule was supposed to have both Avowed and Indiana Jones within like the same couple of months. So, but those are very different games compared to, you know, saying like, for example, Call of Duty with Indie or anything like that. But unfortunately, because of the numbers that Call of Duty brings in, Call of Duty can never be pushed back or anything like that. So the question is this a big deal for Xbox? Is this going to actually help them? Do you think more people are going to give Avowed a chance? Although that also does come with the territory of the fact that they have now raised the price of Game Pass, and Day and Day is only on Ultimates. So it depends on if people are actually going to jump up to that next level of Game Pass tier, or if they're just not going to be subscribed to it anymore. Kind of hard to say. Or would it not matter and Avowed is just going to flop, unfortunately? I'm not really sure, because it's definitely a, it's going to find its audience. That is 100% understandable. But I don't know. I have not seen many people talk about being excited for Avowed, unless you're like a hardcore Obsidian fan, right? I'm not talking about those people. I'm just talking about kind of like your average gamer or anything, even online. Like, I have not seen a lot of people talk about this game. Some people saying it looks rough. Some people saying it kind of looks okay. Some people wishing that it was in a different perspective. So third person compared to first person, which I do know that you are actually able to go into third person from first person, if I remember correctly. But regardless, it's a weird move, to say the least, because of just how popular Obsidian is. Bobby, what are your personal thoughts on this? Join with me, as always, is our own little Bobby here on the team. And what are your personal thoughts when it comes to Avowed being delayed to 2025?
With Avowed, it's almost felt like vaporware for so long. I guess it's not a huge deal. Like, and I'm not trying to be mean by saying that, but I mean, we've been hearing about Avowed since like 2019, and now it's been delayed to 2025. So I don't know. My biggest issue with the delay, I have no problem with them delaying games when they need to, but like, what I don't like is they're like, well, guys, we're having just so many games this year that we just have to delay Avowed. We have to. And it's like, look, actually, you do have a lot of games and all that, but you promised like that this year was going to be the year that you're going to be able to hit the one per quarter. And again, you're failing to do that.
What has released this year on Xbox besides Hellblade 2? Like,
nothing.
Like,
that's
what big first part? Because I remember everyone freaking out like during the E3 showcase where, they showed off all these amazing trailers and everything. And like, trailer-wise, yeah, they had an amazing showcase. But then a lot of people started to be like, we've seen this type of thing before where their, presentation looks amazing. But then the release schedule is like non-existent, essentially. So we know Hellblade 2 released to, it was either you loved it or you hate it, right? And it got a lot of flack online. So I don't know how well it did for numbers in terms of Game Pass or anything. And now we know we're probably going to be getting indie this year. Yeah, you can technically say Call of Duty, but that's going to every platform. So you're going to play it where you want to play it. What other games are coming to Xbox? I guess there's the Starfield, the DLC. But again, Starfield's kind of a controversial game depending on who you talk to. So I don't know if it's really going to push the numbers in terms of Game Pass. Because again, that's all Xbox cares about these days. They don't care about sales or anything. They care about numbers and how many subscribers come to their service and everything like that. So what else do we have besides indie and the Starfield DLC.
Yeah, look at this release schedule. So look, here's the problem with all this. It's like it looks like if you're one of the Xbox like super fans, you can go like, look how much we got. Look how much we got right now. It's like, first of all, you can't play World of Warcraft on an Xbox. Age of Mythology, you really gonna go play that? Maybe some people are, but not a lot. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Aura, I don't think. I think that's going to be pretty niche because it's just like a real time strategy, right?
Right. So if you're into those type of games, you're definitely going to play those. But
yeah, those are not popular anymore.
They're not really. They're not the big system seller / I need to join Game Pass for this particular game type of thing.
Yeah, Diablo could do really good for them.
It could.
Call of Duty will do good.
It's Call of Duty, right?
Flight Sim is November 19th, but that's I'm sorry, people calling like God of War Ragnarok and Tears of the Kingdom DLC, that looks like DLC to me. Like it's like adding jobs and stuff, because Flight Sim was actually really technically solid, so like all they're doing is just adding a bunch of jobs, like, which is cool if that's what you want to do, like as a Flight Sim. But and then Indiana Jones, they still don't have a date for it, which that could be a December
release. Probably.
That could be a December release, but that's going to be death if it's a December release. They should try and make it a November release, but I can't see between Black Ops and Flight Sim where they could put it, or even after. And then, like, where's Shattered Space going to go if it's 2024? Like, that's the other question I have. Like, is that going in November? Is that going to December?
I thought Shattered Space would have gone in, like, September. Kind of the year anniversary type of thing.
Yeah, you'd hope so, but September's, well, I guess, no, you could actually put that there. That'd actually be a good place to put it.
But again, September's in a month. It's in less than a month now. So
yeah, it's like, you have a lot of stuff, but like, you got, if we're talking about one's DLC, two are DLCs. One is basically a DLC in Flight Sim 2024. Obviously, you have Call of Duty, and you have a remake with Age of Mythology and Aura, which I think are both RTS games, which is really weird to have like two of those come out. And then you have Indiana Jones. And so it's like, okay, so you feel like in that you couldn't get, because like you're not going to see people go like, oh yeah, man, Age of Mythology, that should bump, that should bump Avowed. Because it shouldn't.
It makes me wonder if Avowed is having some issues in terms of development. Like they really need those extra like 5 to 6 months.
I think they do, because they said they're going to redo the combat because people were so critical of it. Like, and it looked not very good. Yeah. And that's that's the reality of what they're doing. Is they're, in my opinion, they're spread too thin.
I feel like they are, but unfortunately, they can't hire new people because just all the layoffs that are going on right now. Microsoft would never allow it. I mean, at the very most, they would maybe, they'd say, okay, fine, hire some contract workers, but then trying to just teach contract workers the engine that you're working on, that's going to take up so much time, and it doesn't make any sense to do that. So, looking at
I'm hoping
this,
some of this stuff comes out.
Right. I mean, if you look at this picture, it makes sense to put Avowed into 2025, but at the same time, the closer you look at it, like, again, World of Warcraft is PC only, to my knowledge. Yep. Age of Mythology Retold is an RTS. That is like a very...
That's a remake too.
Yeah, it's a remake, and that's a very small crowd of people that are going to play that. That's not going to drive Game Pass numbers. History Untold, if I remember correctly, is also an RTS. Diablo could do very well, but again, that's October, so we're out of September already. Black Ops is Black Ops. It's Call of Duty. They do the numbers, yada yada. We know that already. Fight Some Years in November, and so you still have Indiana Jones and Shattered Space, which are supposed to be these big games for them, / one's a DLC, one's a game. Where does that go? Because if Indiana Jones goes into December, like everyone thinks December is a good time to release a game. It sometimes can be, but it's in the past, it's not always the best, because yes, technically everyone is getting money for Christmas potentially, or you're selling some games that you have, and so you want to go buy the new game because you've now have enough, or you can do all that kind of stuff. But I'm really scared for Indiana Jones. Like, I think it could be a good game, but I'm scared in terms of like what kind of numbers it will potentially do. And the only reason I say that is because of what could happen to the team making it, essentially.
Well, right? Yeah, I feel like Indiana Jones is almost assuredly going to be received probably with like maybe high 70s or at best low 80s. Like
I just don't know. I mean, based on what we've seen, it's in an interesting state to say the least, because Indiana Jones is nowhere near as popular of an IP as it used to be.
Yeah.
Right. And now we don't have a release date for it. You cannot put it next to Call of Duty. We already know that. Like, the earliest you could potentially put something like Indiana Jones would be like early October, which I feel like they would have announced that already, but then that interferes with Diablo potentially. You could put it in November, but I just don't know, because you still have Shattered Space there, which is supposed to be the big Starfield DLC. So do you delay Starfield? Like, I just don't know.
At this point, if I'm Xbox, I'm delaying Indiana Jones to make that as good as it can be.
I'd put that out in February, to be perfectly honest. I think it could do decently well in February.
But they just put Avowed in February,
right,
so they're
exactly.
not going to cannibalize.
That's the problem right there. So it's like,
yeah, they can't cannibalize their own game, with their own game.
And they don't want to pull an EA with like Titanfall and everything. So.
Yeah, so I don't know. They've worked themselves into this thing where they have so much property now that they're gonna have to be careful with this stuff. And I agree that we've seen Avowed, and there's been parts of it that look really rough. And I think that's realistically why it's being delayed, even though this does seem to be a problem. It just feels like the real reason is like, we need that extra 6 months, guys.
I don't know what they do in this particular situation. I feel like there's got to be more delays coming after this, just based on looking at this picture right here. I'm expecting either Indiana Jones to get delayed or Starfield to get delayed. The DLC, the Shattered Space DLC. One of those is going to get delayed, I think.
Even going further than that, I'm guaranteeing you Fable is a 2026 at this point.
Fable at 2025. Like, the only way I'd believe that if it said November 2025. Even then,
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're making Fable.
And I know people are going to come in and say, like, we've seen gameplay already. Have we? Have we really seen gameplay? Like, we've seen maybe 2 to 3 seconds of some what look like cinematic takedown type of gameplay.
Yeah,
and
looks like Spider-Man finishers,
But like, I want to see, like, when I say gameplay, I want to see the UI on screen. Yep. I want to see them going from point A to point B, doing different things in real time. That is gameplay, not 3 seconds of taking the blade of my sword and smacking you upside the head and then quick cutting to some dude making a joke, which I know is very Fable. I'm not saying that's the bad part. I'm just saying 3 seconds of you whapping a dude over the head with the your sword. That's not. I don't call that gameplay. I really don't. So Fable, I hope comes out in 2025, but I'm very concerned about that. Doom: The Dark Ages, absolutely, I can see in 2025. They have the building blocks from the past Doom games.
Yeah, it's like you said, like, if I don't see a HUD, I am not considering that gameplay. You know what I mean? Unless they specifically say, hey, we're not having a HUD, and we're gonna show you like unedited 15 minutes of gameplay.
Right, and there have been trailers in the past. This has been done for a while now, where there are certain games where it's like it says in real gameplay and everything like that. There's no HUD or anything, but you can tell it's actual gameplay because they literally start. And it feels like they're actually playing the game, moving around, going and talking to an NPC, going into combat, that type of thing. The Fable gameplay is like, again, 2-3 seconds and then quick cut to something else. That's not gameplay to me.
Yeah. So. And I guarantee, funny enough, I guarantee the thing that we're going to see come out at its absolute best next year is Doom and South of Midnight.
South of Midnight looks really good. Like, I think it looks cool. I think South of Midnight looks really cool. Doom looks amazing. It's Doom.
I'm not gonna buy Doom just because it's Doom. Like, not that I have anything against Doom, but it's like I've played Doom for fucking 35 years or however long Doom's been. So like 30 years. It has
been a long time.
But
Doom looks amazing. Doom looks absolutely amazing.
Like, I'll probably play it on Game Pass one time and then I'm cool. Like, there's new ones, like, they're great, but like I play them one time and I'm done. But South of Midnight, I was like, you guys might actually get me to buy an Xbox game. Like, and that's all I wanted. Give me a reason to buy your games.
Runs well. As long as it runs well, I'll buy South of Midnight. Absolutely, 100%.
That should run well. It looks like Cana in the South, and I'm down with that. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't need like everything to be a AAA game, and that's why I'm so excited about Astrobot. Is Sony's taking that step back and going, maybe we don't need to make live service. Maybe we don't need to make like everything be God of War, Ragnarok, and Spider-Man 2 with like insane budgets. Maybe we can just make something on like a $50 million budget, and it's just like fun.
Yep.
Like, and with South of Midnight, it looks like Xbox is doing that too, and I'm here for it. Like,
I'm 100% here for that kind of thing. So I don't know. Again, getting back to the original topic, which is just simply Avowed. Like when you look at this, it's like, yes, Xbox has a lot, but the release windows look a little messy. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
100% expect more delays.
Well, remember too that Stalker's not on here, and like Stalker's coming out in November, right?
I thought Stalker was delayed again, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was from September to November.
Oh, okay. So Stalker's not on here now. So then Stalker most likely takes the November spot then near Flight Simulator. So now Indiana Jones literally only has December. So either that has to go in December or Shattered Space goes in December, and one of those gets pushed into potentially January or February. But then February ends up messing with Avowed, right? So then one of those then definitely gets pushed to March potentially.
Yeah, and this is the problem with the whole buying, 2/3 of the industry in the last 5 years, is that now they have too much stuff, and they're going to start cannibalizing themselves if they actually start hitting this cadence that they want to hit. And realistically, what I'm thinking now is, because they said, hey, we want to have a big game every quarter. So what that means to me is Avowed is Q1, South of Midnight is Q2. Doom is
would
Q3.
Be Q3, would be my guess.
And Fable, Fable's going to be October,
pushed to 2026.
November.
Let's be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think it is, but if it's like you said, if it's going to come out, it's absolutely the Q4. You know what I mean?
So it's either Q4 of 2025, which is the fall time essentially, like late fall, early winter, or it's pushed to 2026. Fall 2026. That's a long time. We've heard about this Fable game since what? 2018, 2019.
2018 or 2019, yeah.
Like, that's a long time right there to tell us about a game. I know games take a long time to make, don't get me wrong, but to tell us about it, like, you're reaching Metroid Prime 4 levels of showing us stuff. I mean, at least with Fable, we've seen some stuff, but regardless, this just looks really messy, and I'm trying to see where they could try to release all this stuff. And again, I know one comment at the very minimum in the down below is going to say like, this particular game only is to this particular audience and everything in this particular game. It's like, I get that. I truly do. But you have to remember, these are all supposed to be on Game Pass, getting people to join Game Pass to be part of that subscription service. And if I'm jumping on as some brand new player, I'm like, oh, Game Pass, I get to play the new Diablo DLC, right? And so you start playing that DLC, which Diablo DLCs, they're pretty chunky. Like it's not like do it in a weekend and you're done. Like those take a while, right? And you have to remember, most people are in school, have jobs, that type of stuff, right? So realistically, you're going to get that done. And then right as that happens, Call of Duty comes out. The majority of people are going to try the new Call of Duty, whether it's the campaign, the multiplayer, you name it. And then by the time they're starting to wind down on Call of Duty, Flight Simulator is out now. Potentially, maybe the Stalker. The Stalker game could be in November as well. So, you can't, like, in between there, unless you do games for a living, or again YouTube or content creation or anything like that. Like, where do you slot these games?
Yeah,
like, you cannot do like, I know some people are gonna be like, oh, easy, put Shattered Space like in the middle between Diablo and Call of Duty. Like, seriously? Like, that's not gonna work. I really don't think it is. Again, granted, I'm not a marketing guy, but based on just knowing gamers and being part of this industry for since I was 7 years old, like, I don't think that would work. Or what? Do you put Indiana Jones between Diablo and Call of Duty and then have Shattered Space as the December game or something like that? Like, that. I don't see that working. I really don't. I mean, Bobby, what do you think? What do they do here?
I just think that they've worked themselves with all of the delays and all of it, pushing everything back for so long. I think they have just worked themselves into a situation where they can't get all the stuff they've purchased like out now. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least not have it be somewhat messy, because I don't know, like if it's me, right, and I'm in charge. I'm like Ara and Age of Mythology are both in September. I'm slapping Shattered Space in there because like those two games are not gonna those aren't gonna sell people Game Pass.
No, they're not.
Right. People who want to play RTS games are just gonna buy it. You know what I mean?
And plus, in the Shattered Space, that would be 1 year exactly to when Starfield release. So I think the Shattered Space DLC should be in September. But
that's the other thing though, is that these DLCs are not going to be part of Game Pass as far as I know.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, technically, if you're subscribed to Game Pass already and you have Starfield, technically the DLC should be with it. No,
that's why they sell the premium pack.
It's going to cost a certain amount of money unless you have the premium edition or upgrade, and then it's quote unquote free with Game Pass in there. Otherwise, you do need to buy it.
That's because you already paid for it.
Right, exactly, because you paid for it. That's essentially what it is. So regardless, though, Diablo DLC and Shattered Space DLC, you've got to pay for those, right? Unless, again, you bought the Ultimate whatever edition, essentially. So do you throw Indiana Jones then into September, late October, or early October, I should say? Like, would that be a good spot for you? I don't know.
I don't think they have it ready for that.
Right,
honestly.
because generally, if a game is like pretty much ready to go, that's where you start the marketing and everything like that. But we haven't seen any where it's,
they had this grand plan, but stuff like this, it just kind of makes it fall apart. Like, sure, it sounds like Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom, and then Fable is going to be great, but that's assuming, again, like Fable comes out next year. We see that this year has been just a bunch of waiting, right? And anybody,
it's more waiting.
Like, yeah, I had Xbox Game Pass for a month for was it Hellblade? Mm-hmm. And like I haven't had it since. I played Hellblade and I've done it, and there's just been no reason for me to do it. So that came out in like May or June, and so I played it, and I was like, okay, that was a game. And then I was like, there's nothing else for me to play. So, I don't like I want to play Lies of P, but I don't want to play it on Game Pass. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna buy it eventually. Right.
Mm-hmm. Some game is going to affect another. It's gonna happen. I guarantee. It's gonna happen.
Yes, that's what's gonna happen,
and
it's unavoidable with as much property as they have. Really.
Right. Exactly. So, and that's just Xbox right there. Like, you have to also remember, like, you have games like, say what you will, I know about the drama online and everything, but a lot of people are still gonna buy it. Like Assassin's Creed is coming out this year, right? We have Star Wars at the end of August. Yep. Right? Say what you will. We have said stuff about Outlaws. It's Star Wars property. It's gonna sell.
Yep.
It's just gonna happen. And again, going to Assassin's Creed, everyone has been dying for a Japan setting Assassin's Creed game, regardless of the stuff on drama online and everything like that. It's gonna sell.
And if you're Microsoft, because don't they have the marketing for Shadow?
I think they do. I'm not 100% sure though. But then again, based on what they've said about marketing and everything, apparently they don't have much money for marketing. So
I know that poor $3 trillion company.
I don't know. It feels like yes, Xbox has a lot, but like, what's the schedule? And I know it's going to happen. That one game is going to release at one particular time, and it's going to get completely just ignored and forgotten about due to everything else coming out. It's gonna happen with one of these games. And like, I guess when you're Xbox/Microsoft, like, which one do you sacrifice? Which is terrible to say, because that should not be the case. But it's gonna happen to one of them. I can't imagine it being. It's not gonna be Call of Duty, obviously. It could be Indiana Jones. It could be the Shattered Space DLC. Could be Avowed. Like, it could be, even with them pushing it back. I don't know what happens, but something's gonna get forgotten, and it's gonna probably result in more layoffs and everything. And I don't want that to happen, but that's just with the way things are. I feel like that's gonna be the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at they pushed Avowed back. What if Capcom goes, oh yeah, Monster Hunter is coming out February 18th,
Monster Hunter, yeah, we still don't know when GTA is coming out. Like,
oh, GTA is not coming out quarter1. But
I know.
GTA
I'm
kill
just saying,
Fable.
as things continue to get pushed back, though, right? That's what I'm saying. If things continue to get pushed back, and all of a sudden GTA is coming out in, let's be realistic here, it's probably going to be like October, November next year, would be my guess. Maybe September. Yeah,
that's if that doesn't get delayed.
Right, and if it doesn't get delayed. Like, And what? That would either affect Doom, that would either affect, again, assuming Fable does come out at that time, that could affect Fable, that could affect anything else pushed back. Like, something's got to give, and it's not going to be pretty, is all I'm going to say.
You know, it's this is kind of on Microsoft and in the first place, because they've had so long to get all these games going, right? Like, I mean, we've heard about Avowed for 5 years. We've heard about, you know, we saw Hellblade for 5 years. Like, so many of these games we've heard about. And then, you know, they also bought like the Goliath that is Call of Duty. So they have to be thinking about, you know, like, okay, we got to make sure like everything has a wide, you know, steers a wide berth from Call of Duty, because like we want that to make its money, because that's literally what's going to keep us afloat, you know, and show that Xbox is still valuable to Satya, you know, like, right. So they want that to make its money for sure. But, you know, now they have so much property that has been kind of mishandled for so long that, you know, they're kind of on the hook for this. But at the same time, it's like, you don't want to see them fail. They've worked themselves into an unenviable situation, is I think what the best way to put it. You know, like, you don't want to see them fail, but like right now they're not in a good spot simply because they do have too much stuff, and they're just going to throw it out, and it's going to kill some of the other stuff that's coming out.